I have to get this off my chest. It's been bugging me for a while and I can't take it anymore. I don't get the hype when it comes to Binding of Isaac. To the gaming community, I have to say now, I'm sorry. Sorry you're all obsessed with a boring game. Okay, that sounds harsh, but hear me out before you lose your minds with rage. So, first things first. If you don't know, The Binding of Isaac is an indie game that came out in 2011 to great critical acclaim. It and its 2014 update, Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which at one time or another was released on pretty much every gaming platform, is hailed as one of the greatest games of all time. If we take a look at some of the reviews, we see how much people love this game. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, even got the editor's choice. Do you have any idea how hard that is? Its Metascore for both critics and audiences are over 80. I don't know how this was calculated, but according to Google it's rated 10 out of 10 on Steam. And going beyond the numbers of it all, its reputation in the gaming community is as if it's some kind of flawless masterpiece. People go crazy for this game. In fact, I have never heard anyone say any kind of criticism of it. And neither have you. Seriously think about it. You've never heard a bad word about it. And in a community as, well, picky as gaming, that is pretty rare, almost unheard of. Now, full disclosure, I played this game for the first time in 2020, so I'm definitely a latecomer to it. I had to endure all of the obsessive fans claim this is one of the best games ever made. For me, the hype surrounding it is monumental. I went into it expecting greatness, but after playing for a considerable number of hours, I have to say, I don't get the hype. Now I do have to say, the game isn't trash. I fully respect what the developers have made and I do see value in this game, but I would like to start my analysis with what I like about it. Edmund McMillen did succeed in creating a genuinely unique and creative world, visual style, and characters. I don't think I have ever seen a game with the kind of imagery that The Binding of Isaac has. It's creepy, it's gross, and definitely original. On top of that, the game's use of religious themes and its tendency to always go as dark as possible is certainly cool and really represents why independent games have become so popular and respected. So I do have to give props for the creative direction and originality of its visual design. Does that make up for boring and repetitive gameplay? Well, in my humble opinion, no, not even close. Binding of Isaac is a roguelike RPG inspired by the likes of Legend of Zelda and some other games which aren't as good as Zelda. You play as Isaac, initially at least, who is a sad, naked, crying little boy who must go from room to room taking on all kinds of crazy monsters who want him dead. His only weapon available at the start is his own tears. As you explore the many rooms, you can pick up all kinds of items and upgrades. The main appeal of the game seems to be its supposed replayability. The game is very challenging and will probably kill you a bunch, but every time you restart, the procedurally generated world will change, offering you a different playthrough every time, with a different layout, different items, and different enemies. So the game forces you to play it many times, the deal being you have to start from the beginning a lot, but you'll get a new experience each playthrough. But we have to ask ourselves, is the experience really different each time? I have to say, not really. Each playthrough you'll still be facing the same basic structure of rooms, monsters, and items. To me, every time I start the game, it feels so similar to the last run that I don't really see the appeal in its newly generated map. But, if the core gameplay is good, I suppose it doesn't matter that you'll be doing a lot of it. There are tons of arguably repetitive games which I love. So, is the actual gameplay fun? Look at this. Does this look like I'm having fun? Check out this room. I'm shooting my little projectile at this monster and trying to avoid its attacks. Now let's look at this room where I'm... oh. I mean, don't get me wrong, the combat is acceptable, but it's not strong enough to carry the whole game. When the entire game is based around this combat, which is just acceptable, I don't feel much of a reason to keep going. People say a big strength in this game is exploration, but to me, all these rooms feel basically the same, so why would I want to explore a million of them? Look, I know this is probably hard for some of you who've been brainwashed into thinking this is some kind of masterpiece to hear, but I have to believe there are other people out there like me. Maybe they're too afraid to criticize the indie darling of the century. Maybe they thought they were alone too. Well, to those people, I'd like to say you are not alone. Okay, I spent a while saying why I don't think the game is all that great, but I would like to say to the developer, you are talented and should absolutely be proud of the work you've done in gaming, and I'm happy for you. You've inspired and delighted gamers from all over the world. So, if you are a fan of the game, I do respect your right to love it, as long as you admit that you're wrong. Sorry, Macmillan, should have made a better game.